It's the ESCtips.com Melodifestivalen podcast, bringing you unrivaled coverage of Eurovision's premier selection show.
If you love Schlager, bad pronunciation and all things Swedish, stay tuned to ESCtips.com.
Hello and welcome to the first ESCtips.com podcast of 2017. Usually at this stage I do a multilingual introduction. Sadly, I haven't had time to prepare anything, so I will just say välkommen till den första podden från ESCtips.com of 2017, because this time we're going to be talking about Melodifestivalen. It will, as ever, take place over 6 Saturday nights, starting on February the 4th. So, as at the time of speaking, that's a week and a half away. Who do we have to discuss these? Well, he's the boss, he's the tip, he's the championship, he's the most top Gav. Welcome to the editor and chief writer of ESCtips.com, Gavin Lambert, the Gavster. Welcome, Gav.
Welcome, Andy. It's so good to have you back, just to save me from the blushes of these two trying to pronounce Fjallgren again or something.
That wasn't bad. You missed out the dots on the A, but we'll skip past that. Okay, who else do we have? Well, in about 10 days' time, he will start his time inside the Melodifestivalen bubble. 6 weeks of reporting, partying, drinking, and just telling you, the reader, exactly what you want to know about your favourite Melodifestivalen stars, really. Other times in the year, he basically spends so much time in airports that Tom Hanks is considering making a film of his life. All the way from Aftonbladet, chief Melodifestivalen correspondent and entertainment correspondent, Tobias. Welcome, Torbjörn.
Thank you, Andy, and great to have you back as well this year.
Yes, thank you. I was going.
Yes, that was a lie, but yes, but I'm happy to be here anyway.
And I'm so happy to hear your voice, and I'm sure that we'll have a lot of fun. I'm currently having fun sticking pins in this voodoo doll I have of you. So if you feel any sharp pains...
Ouch.
Sorry. Yeah, I shouldn't have stuck that pin there. I do apologise. Okay, and our final guest. Well, he is encyclopedic about Eurovision. He was formerly involved behind the scenes on På Resan and Not from Yle, which was a quiz combining travel and the Eurovision Song Contest. All the way from Helsinki, we have Tobias Larsson. Welcome, Tobias.
Well, thank you. Tack så mycket. Lovely to be back here as well. No voodoo dolls of me, I hope.
How could I, sir? You're just too nice.
Well, let's see about that. Let's see if any of the this year's artists will sort of disagree with you on that point when we're done here. But let's start out nicely, shall we?
Oh, indeed. Well, to be honest, a lot of the artists generally disagree with me in that they turn my stomach, but we will see. Okay, so to start off with, what I'm going to do is ask you about your general opinions on the lineup. Surprises, things that make you bored, possibly, i.e. pleasant surprises or not so pleasant surprises. We will start with the man who spent a lot of time before the announcement researching exactly who was going to be in it and second-guessing them. Tobbe, what were your impressions?
Well, I am, of course, as probably all the Eurovision fans in Sweden and Europe, very surprised about Loreen returning. We had heard rumors about it the day before the announcement, but we didn't believe it, and none of the people we spoke to believed it either. So I would say that is one of the biggest surprises for me, but also the combination with her being a former Eurovision winner and also having Charlotte Perrelli being a former Eurovision winner in the competition, together with 2 former Melodifestivalen winners as songwriters, those being Robin Stjernberg, who's written Robin Bengtsson's song, and Ola Salo, who's written the song that will be performed by the rock band Dismissed. So that overall has made me rather exciting about this year, actually.
Just to fill in, Ola Salo being the former lead singer of The Ark, isn't that the case?
Yes, exactly.
It was 2007, wasn't it, that they represented Sweden?
That's true. And together with that, also the fact that the songwriting team that goes in the name The Family, Linnea Deb, Joy Deb, and Anton Hård of Segerstad, has several songs in the competition, and they've performed very well in Melodifestivalen the previous years, written both Måns Zelmerlöw's Heroes, Ace Wilder's Busy Doing Nothing, and Robin Stjernberg's You. So I'm very excited about hearing the songs that they've composed for this year as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Torbjörn. Tobias, what are your impressions? Obviously, Loreen was a bolt from the blue, but anything else that kind of tickled your fancy, as it were?
I actually had sort of very much the same feeling as last year, that I get the feeling that it's all very competent and very good performers, and but sort of void of surprises until they announced Loreen, of course. So I think that Loreen's presence is what's really saving Melodifestivalen this year. And then I don't mean from a sort of song kind of perspective. I don't know anything about that, but I think that as a surprise, that sort of opened things up very much. I think it was Alexander Bard who said a couple of years ago when Sanna Nielsen took part, and he said that she's got such a big audience and she's the only one who's actually gambling a bit with her career. And the contest needs that. The contest needs someone who goes in and actually takes a risk by taking part. It adds a lot of drama instead of having all these singers who just go there to show the world that they still exist, that they still make music. I think Loreen's a very exciting name to have back, regardless of her song. I think she's very good for the entertainment factor. And apart from that, I mean, it's pretty much the same old people. I sort of asked the question last year that when will there be a generation shift again? I'm surprised there are so many names that are coming back year after year to Melodifestivalen. But having said that, these names that are in the lineup this year, generally speaking, they look very promising.
Yes, I know. With Melodifestivalen lately, there has been a certain kind of reluctance to change what has been a winning formula.
But I'm sorry, but I would like to add to that okay. I would say that there has been a change in that, because yes, there are returning artists, but it's not the same. It's very, very few of the returning artists that were the returning artists 10 years ago. Sure, Charlotte Perrelli is there and Roger Pontare is there, but those are the exceptions. Whereas here we have Lisa Ajax, Mariette, Boris René, Dina Na, Ace Wilder, who are returning artists that has had big hits in the recent years. So I would absolutely say that there has been a generation shift going on in Melodifestivalen.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I realized the moment I said it that generation shift isn't really that. But I think that Melodifestivalen are actually the ones gambling a bit by reusing the same singers to such a high extent that they've been doing. Then I don't know how easy or difficult it would be to attract other names. And there's nothing wrong with these names. It maybe lacks a little bit of sort of excitement factor, but they're all very competent and they will all deliver. I mean, and that's good for a TV show like Melodifestivalen.
Okay, two slightly differing opinions there. Gavin, where do you stand on the overall excitement attached to the lineups?
I will go with the guys there that Loreen was a big surprise, but I was also very surprised that Ace Wilder came back for a third time, and again with different writers, so it almost suggests a slight change of direction for her. But then I'm still looking at the lineup and thinking, well, actually maybe there's another Franz in the lineup, someone that comes from nowhere and surprises us all. That's what I'm hoping for.
Okay, well, let's just see which songs we are talking about. We will start by talking about the first heat. This will take place in Göteborg, or Gothenburg in English, on February the 4th, 2017. The lineup is as follows. Boris René even, Her Kiss, Adriana, Amare, Dina Na, One More Night, Diviet Du, Road Trip, Charlotte Perrelli, Mitt Leave, Ace Wilder with Wild Child, and Nano, Hold On. Gavin, does Ace Wilder stick out for you there, or do you have who's your money on, basically?
You would have to think Ace would come back with a good song if she wanted to do well. I don't see any reason why she would return. She does sort of need this break more than perhaps Melodifestivalen needs her. She struggled with all of her post Melodifestivalen songs, so I guess she needs this. I have heard whispers that Gerson is very confident this year, so I don't know whether that's with Ace Wilder or with one of his other Eurovision projects. Looking down at the list, I think maybe Boris René should be discounted. Dina Na, I'd heard her song was rejected last year, but has come back with kind of a bombo type influence track. Maybe that'll take her to Andra Chansen. But then I'm also looking at Nano. Is he a false pimp slot? He doesn't really look like a Melodifestivalen winner. He doesn't look quite as marketable. So I'm interested to see if maybe Krista has had a little play with the running order here, and Ace is probably the real pimp slot, and then there's maybe someone else hiding in the running order. I'm not sure. I might have to defer to the other guys on this one.
I noticed you didn't really mention Charlotte Perrelli. Have you kind of counted her out?
I think it's a bit difficult for her to shine in those upbeat slots, because you've got Ace Wilder following, then you've got Divet Du, who are very popular before her. Those would be my picks for direct. I don't know, what does Torbe think there?
Well, yes, Torbe. What do you think? Is it Aces to lose, or could we have a surprise?
Well, of course, I haven't heard any of the songs, but I've heard quite a lot about a few of the songs. And I've heard that Nano has got a really great song. And by listening to his previous tracks on YouTube, I realized that he has got an amazing voice. So if he can take that together, and if the TV audience can look past the fact that he looks like a 30-year-old gangster, which he also, well, he is a previous gangster, and he's been very open with this. And if the audience can look past that and just take his voice and what's supposed to be a really good song, I would say that he's absolutely a straight-to-final candidate. Whereas Charlotte Perrelli, who has told everyone that she is presenting a completely new style. This is going to be very downtoned. It's almost it's a slow song. It's very little production. We have an expression in Sweden called visa. I'm not really sure what the translation of that would be.
It's sort of close to singer-songwriter in tone, but not really. It's more sort of like folk music, sort of. Yeah, influence.
Songwriter, folk music style type there. I think she's only in the competition to show the audience this is not my new style. She does not count on even going to Andra Chansen. So I would say she's out. And then it's between Ace Wilder, Dina Na, Boris René perhaps. Ace Wilder, this song, it stood between this song and Don't Worry from last year. Even last year, they chose between those two. They chose the other one, and this year they've chosen Wild Child. So I'm not sure that is actually a winner. And then I'd say that Dina Na might be in there.
I also heard that Ace Wilder's song was in the mix last year. So yeah, I was slightly put off by the fact that she went for Don't Worry last year and totally ignored this one. But I don't know, does Krista have a say in that? Does he say, well, actually, no, we've got another style of song like this. I think you should go for this one.
Yes, he definitely definitely has that say. They advise people which song they would like them to perform. So it does not have to mean that this song is not as good as last year's song. It just can be a totally different style. Absolutely.
Okay, Tobias, what are you looking forward to from this first heat?
Well, I'm actually looking forward very much to hear what Charlotte Perrelli's new style is, because she's very popular as a performer. She was never much of a recording singer, really. None of her albums really sold well after she left the dance band circuit, anyway. But I'm looking forward to this because what she's doing is just that. Just as Tobias said, she's there in order to market her new album and her new style and the new material she wants to do. And I think that actually there is this. I'm not saying the chance is big or anything, but sometimes when people take it down a notch and do something that's very small and underproduced, that can come across as really genuine. Swedes have a soft spot for that. If Charlotte Perrelli managed to come along to sort of appear very genuine and real, then they might go for that. But then again, in the televote day and age, maybe that doesn't work anymore. But I'm looking forward to hearing what kind of song she has. Det vet du, I'm not a huge fan of humor in Melodifestivalen or Eurovision. It needs to be very good also. And what the humor acts forgets most of the time is that you need a good song in order to sort of be allowed to make it funny. I don't know. I'm doubtful about that. And I'm doubtful about Ace Wilder as well. It's like I have a little feeling that last time around, that would have been her sort of make it or break it moment. And maybe now the audience feels a little bit like maybe it's a little bit too soon for her. I like her very much. I like Boris René very much as well. I don't know. I also think that Nano is the big thing here. He could come in and be like the Linus Svenning of the present day and just, not look the part and still surprise people and take Sweden by storm.
Okay, thank you, Tobias. My feelings about Ace Wilder is, again, she's got a song called Wild Child. Obviously, her breakthrough hit was Busy Doing Nothing, which was kind of like sung from the viewpoint of a kind of unemployed 18-year-old. She's approaching her mid-30s, for goodness sake, so one wonders how long she'll be able to pull that act off. But that's just a personal opinion. Okay, let's move on to Heat 2. Which will take place in Malmö. The lineup is Mariette, A Million Years, Ruga Pontere, Himmel och hav, Etsia, Up, Aliawan, Vart har du varit, Dismissed, Hot to Line, Lisa Ajax, I Don't Give Up, Benjamin Ingrosso, Good Lovin'. Okay, any good lovin' for you in that lineup, Tobbe?
Absolutely. I've heard that Lisa Ajax has a song that is smashing. This song was entered last year, but with a male demo vocalist. And according to my sources, the jury loved it, but they also said not unless you please don't have it in the competition unless you have the right artist behind it. So this year it was entered again. And I know that they have tried it on several different artists. And according to what people in the business are talking about, Lisa Ajax performs it really, really well. So I'm looking forward to that. But I do think that Mariette is the one to beat. The audience love her. She has a very lovable personality when she's on stage, and she did have a great hit last time she was in it. So I would say that Mariette is going for Melodifestivalen and perhaps even Eurovision Gold this year. So Mariette and Lisa Ajax are my top names in this heat, with Benjamin Ingrosso being Pernilla Wahlgren's son, related to Swedish House Mafia Ingrosso guys. I would say that he might have a chance as well. Whereas Roger Pontare, previous Melodifestivalen winner, I doubt that he's going to be having anything to do with the top four here. And same with the rock band Dismissed, even though the art singer Ola Salo has written that song.
Okay, I mean, Dismissed will obviously, as a rock song, it'll stand out in this heat, but you don't think it will be challenging for the top 2 or even 4?
I don't think so, because they also they have a they have a very queer agenda where they talk about gender, and it's 4 guys being kind of semi dressed up in female clothes, but they don't do the drag act full out. It's more of a statement thing, and I think that will put off quite a lot of the audience, unless they are amazing on stage, and I'm not sure whether they are or not.
Okay, thanks for that insight there, Torbjörn. Gavin, Torbjörn said Mariette might well be the one to beat, even from the first, even singing first.
I've kind of been on a bit of a downer with her, to be honest, but I don't hear the same things that Torbjörn hears. I was kind of looking more towards the back end of the semi. Lisa Ajax, again, I've heard exactly the same things as Torbjörn. So I'm quite hopeful on that one. My only problem with Lisa Ajax is that last year she didn't sell the song very well. She didn't come across as likeable, and that's my main worry for her. She had such a good song, and it wasn't staged right, but I don't know, on camera she just seemed to have this kind of dead behind the eyes look. So that's something I need to see. Ingrosso, Pimp Slot, again, that really moved the market. And he was around 34-1 and shortened right up to about 10-1. I think he's someone that could be very popular. Didn't he win Strictly Come Dancing in Sweden in 2014? There is certainly an audience there that could vote for him as long as the song is good. I think he comes across quite likeable. I think if there's a guy at the back end, you'd at least expect him to at least be in the front 2. Dismissed also stood out for the one reason that the writers Kvint and Salo, they collaborated on that Andrew Hansen hit "Sing Me Out" from last year. Fantastic anthemic kind of rock pop song. If it's anything like that, I think it could get quite a bit of support. But again, it's very song reliant.
Okay, and finally we finish up with somebody who in his many selfies on Facebook and Instagram could never be accused of being dead behind the eyes, Tobias.
Well, thank you for that. I'm not sure what to add here. I have exactly the same objection to Lisa Ajax. She would need to really have transformed herself since the last time for me, because I think that she's one of these very nice performers that would need an extra gear to be able to sell her song properly. In a sort of celebrity death match between her and Mariette, I think Mariette would win on likability alone, and I think that matters pretty much for Sweden. Maybe that's why Mariette is in the first slot and Lisa Ajax in the 6th, to make it a little bit more exciting. I don't know. I think Benjamin Ingrosso, I'm intrigued by that, because he's so famous. I mean, the kid is 19, but it feels like he's been around forever. He's been there since he was dancing and singing before he could walk. And everyone knows him. And I just feel that kind of entry with a cute pop guy was very much the thing a couple of years ago, and then they sort of killed it in Melodifestivalen. Now I can't remember, help me out, which year was it when they had these cute solo guys that maybe couldn't sing that well, but who looked good and who danced? And then the first week it went well, the second week it went a little bit less well, and the third week it ended second last or something.
It was Alvaro Estrella.
No, it was previous to that. Which year was it?
Anyway, I have a feeling that's being just a cute guy with a pop song is not enough anymore. I feel like that's a little bit old and done. But I doubt he would enter Melodifestivalen at all if he didn't have something good. So I think he'll be a contender. Just because
it was 2013 when we had David Lindgren in the first semi-final, and then we had Anton Ewald going to Andra Hansen. David Lindgren straight to final in the first semi-final. Anton Ewald to Andra Hansen in the second semi-final. Eddie Rassas sixth place and not qualifying from the third semi-final. So that was probably it.
That's sort of, for me, that sort of killed that genre. That's since then the cute boys have needed something else, like, I don't know, talent to be able to break through. Benjamin Ingrosso has that, so that's not a problem, but he would need a good song as well. And then I think it's sort of nice, I never thought I'd say these words, but I think it's nice to have Roger Pontare back, just to sort of widen the selection a little bit and to sort of have a bigger age variation also. So I'm glad he's there, but he will have absolutely no chance of achieving anything there.
May I just add a small thing in the semi-final?
Of course, we welcome your small thing.
Thank you. Well, it's actually going to be two things. First of all, Lisa Ajax has 264,000 followers on Instagram. Mariette has got 10,000 followers. And Lisa Ajax followers are very... They are proper fans. They are very much active in social media, and I think that will be to Lisa Ajax's benefit. Benjamin Ingrosso has got 115,000 followers, and that will also help him. So I would take that into consideration when talking about Lisa Ajax's performance, that she has got a very big fan base that likes what she does. Also, one little detail that I can reveal here, if you look at the title to the song, you can realize why the BBC will go into a fit if she actually wins Swedish Melodifestivalen. What is the title?
I Don't Give Up, I've got here.
Yes, and how do you finish that sentence?
I don't give a present to my friends.
Yes, or a very, very explicit word that we never censor in Sweden.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yes. I never hear you use that word.
Well, we never censor it in Sweden because we don't censor stuff in Sweden. And having somebody sing that very explicit word in the Eurovision Song Contest, BBC would get into a fit.
I think the EBU would as well, because the rules actually forbid it. It's very clear in the rules that you can't do that. You can't use language like that. And that's actually surprising for me, I must say, that Swedes who have in general, such a good level of English always fails to understand like how bad some foul language is, and that it just won't pass. It's the same. I mean, I'm old enough to remember 2001 in Copenhagen. That was Denmark, but it's the same problem in Aqua, where the interval act, and they also used the F. They also used the F word, and the BBC went bananas about that. And they didn't see it because it didn't mean anything to them, but it meant quite a lot to the BBC. So it's strange to me that still it doesn't mean it, that songwriters in this forum don't get that. And that's surprising.
And also the fact that one of the interval acts in Malmö 2013 was censored after the dress rehearsal because they used the F word in a pre-recorded sketch. They had to cut that out before broadcasting.
And to that, I can only add, in 2006, Sylvia Knight, of course, was threatened with extreme sanctions if she swore on stage. And I think the EBU bosses were kind of, almost bricking it, really, right up to the last, because her character was so unpredictable, basically. But she did tone it down in the end. Okay, now we move on to Heat 3, and the reason why Gavin was so keen to have me host it, because Heat 3 will be held in Växjö. It says on ESCtips on February the 23rd. 1st, which is a Tuesday. There's just a tip for you, Gav. It will be on February the 18th. Okay, and the lineup is Robin Bengtsson, I Can't Go On. Krista Siegfried, welcome back, Krista, Snurra Min Jord. Anton Hagman, Kiss You Goodbye. Jasmin Kara, Gravity. Ove Törnqvist, Boogeyman Blues. Bella and Philippa, Crucified. And The Foo Conspiracy with Got a Thing. Tobias, tell me about The Foo Conspiracy and why they have to have quite so many O's.
Well, it's, if you're young, you put in everything you have just to show off, I suppose. I can't tell you as much about the Foo Conspiracy as I would want to, because from my horizon, they have always appeared to be this internet phenomenon with young fans and your typical little boy band. And I honestly never paid much attention to them. But now, when they're suddenly in Melodifestivalen, I start to realize that there could be something to them. So I suppose that they are dead sure, bang in the final. Everything else would be a big surprise as far as I'm concerned. I would like to tell you more about another O, like the single O there, which is Ove Törnqvist, who is like the first rock singer of Sweden. He published the first ever song in Swedish with the word rock in the title. That was in 1955. That's very early. And he's a legend. He's a songwriting legend, and he's a performing legend. And in my family, we've been listening a lot to Ove Törnqvist's old stuff, and I love it. It's just that I think that he went downhill in the early 60s. So maybe it's a little bit late to enter Melodifestivalen in 2017, given that. But he's a curiosity there for sure. I'm happy that he's still around, I suppose, in a way. But I wish that he had done Melodifestivalen in 1962 instead, which actually he did, as he wrote the song that ended in second place in Melodifestivalen in 1962. Anyway, end of brackets. Here I'm rooting for Krista Siegfried, of course, waving my Finnish flag.
That's why.
Not so much because I think she has a shot at winning, or perhaps not even going straight to the final. But I would wish for her to finally have that break in Sweden. I think that there is room for her in Swedish showbiz. I think they would need someone like Krista Siegfried right now. There isn't anyone like her, really. So I'm hoping that she will have her big breakthrough this year, regardless of the song. And as for Robin Bengtsson, I love him since last year. I wish him all the best. I hope his song this year is as good as the one he had last year.
Okay, thank you, Tobias. I do wonder about Krista Siegfried, and wondering if, yes, they're looking to expand into Sweden, because I noticed a couple of weeks ago her fiancé, Janne Grönroos, who appeared on one of our podcasts last year, was actually on Aftonbladet TV. Did you get to meet him at all?
Oh, absolutely. I got a big hug from him. Well, the hug was actually from Krista to me. From him.
Fair enough.
We've met before together with Chris, of course. So yeah, he was a guest, or he was a sidekick in our morning show, and I hope that we can that we can get him back to do it on a semi-permanent or more permanent basis, because he's really, really good. And
he's a funny man. He really is. I like him.
And if so, I hope that him and Krista does expand their careers here to Sweden. And I really hope, for Krista's sake, because she is so lovable, that this is a great song, that she can actually finally get a proper hit here in Sweden. Unfortunately, what I've heard about the song is that no, it's not up to standard. The song she entered with last year, Faller, was better than this one. But this is according to rumors, and we haven't seen anything from her performance yet. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the guys that have told me this doesn't have a clue.
Fair enough. Gav, does anything jump out at you?
I've got Krista on my non-qualification list. Sorry. I think given the coffin slot, which is slot 2, is likely to spell an early exit for her. She's got the same writer as last year, so I'm not expecting anything better, unfortunately. So
it's less marry me, more bury me then.
So true. Okay, food conspiracy are the obvious qualifiers here. I'm kind of interested in what Bella and Philippa have got going on, because I've heard good things about them, but then I've research into the writers doesn't really give me much confidence. But then I'm wondering, well, why are they in slot 6? I kind of expected a bit of help for Anton. Maybe he'll surprise. He's got Tim Shu, frontman of A Friend in London, writing the song for him. That could be quite anthemic. I don't know. Again, I just wanted more help for him. And slot 3 is just a little bit difficult. Robin, very, very popular, as Tobias said. I would say he's in with a very good shout. Again, I'm curious. Torbjörn, are they changing the app vote at all this year? Are they going to limit the number of votes per song, or I don't know?
We haven't got any information about that yet, and SVT has not provided any info. So I'm guessing that they're sticking with the same voting system as last year. They might tweak it a little bit, but I'm not sure.
Because that, if anything, has almost brought an end to the random result. Because since it's been introduced, it's pretty much slot 6, slot 7 in most cases get through to the final. So it'd be nice to get a bit more inconsistency in the result, a bit more excitement.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to add that when it comes to Ove Thörnqvist, this might actually be a surprise, at least Andra Chansen qualifier. Don't forget Hasse Andersson a couple of years ago. Hasse Andersson, very popular in Sweden, but he was also a one-hit wonder previous to Guld och gröna skogar. And with Ove Thörnqvist, he has got a long history, but if this is a fun, quirky song that appeals to both the kids and the wider audience, we might have another one of those.
Do you know, I thought that, but then I saw that it was a bit of a slow song. But then having checked the Melodifestivalen website, it seems a bit more mid-tempo, so I don't know who to believe.
And then I absolutely protest against the description of Hasse Andersson as a one-hit wonder. That, I am sorry, he is not. He was so popular in the 1980s, perhaps not chart-wise, I'll give him that, but he was ever present, and his albums were selling very much, and he was very, very loved already by them.
And I agree with you here, and he was also a TV host, and he's hugely popular. But when you look at his legacy music-wise, previous to Melodifestivalen, people would remember one song and one song only.
Änglahund, yeah, sure, I'm with you on that one. But then I'd say, being the fan of old Ove Thörnqvist that I am, I think the comparison between him and Hasse Andersson, the problem for Ove is that Hasse Andersson has such a warm image. He's so likable. He's so easy to like, while Ove Thörnqvist, since like the late 70s or something, has always come across as very much as a grumpy old man, and is not very charming at all, unfortunately. So that works against him, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's not forget, of course, Tobias, that Torbjörn, as he keeps reminding us, is so much younger than us that he probably doesn't remember much of the 80s or indeed 90s. So, we should bear that in mind.
Shut up! I'm older than most of you guys. I just have a boy cap on to hide that fact.
Fair enough.
And you do it so well.
Oh, he does, yes. And he's got many backup boy caps as well. Okay, so we go on to the final of the heats. Another one which Gav is happy to leave the pronunciation to me because it's in Skellefteå on February the 25th. The lineup is as follows. Jon Henrik Fjällgren featuring Aninia with En värld full av strider. Alice with Running with Lions. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Les Gordons. Can somebody help me there? Les Gordons. So a kind of French-English mix, I suppose. Yeah. Les Gordons. Well, they're bound to fall anyway. 4 is Victoria, If I Lay Me Down. 5, Axel Sjöström, När ingen ser. Sara Varga and Juha Mullari, Du får inte ändra på mig. And finally, the one that most people have been waiting for, last but definitely not least, Statements by Loreen. People have been unable to ignore Loreen, so is it just a case of Loreen plus AN other for the final?
No, not at all. Loreen, Loreen is the one that will get the audience flocking to the TV screens. But according to rumors, Loreen is not this year's... she's not the one to beat this year for winning in the final. According to rumors, people say that unless she has a show that really grips you, people might listen for 15 to 20 seconds and then just go, oh, so this was not Euphoria number 2.
Just a bit in there, sorry. I checked the Melodifestivalen website this morning, and you know how they give everyone a score on show, message, pace? Her show score is about 50% or something like that, so actually the show isn't the main thing for her.
And with this, Loreen, I've heard the song being described as, remember her song Paper Lights? It's Paper Lights in the suggestiveness of it, but with a harder and tougher beat to it that might make people think a little bit about punk and punk rock, and without the obvious hook in the chorus. So I would say that Loreen might absolutely make it to the final, but I'm not sure she's going to be the favorite to win Melodifestivalen when people hear her song.
Yes, I mean, a mixture of Paper Light, which reached number 25 in the Swedish charts, and punk rock, which has traditionally done so well at Eurovision. How can she lose? Gavin, apart from Loreen, and you know we can probably discuss Loreen a bit too much, what else sticks out for you here?
Well, there's a few returnees in the lineup. Victoria, I'm a bit nervous about her return, given the law of diminishing returns, but also she's lost Avicii's writer. It'll probably be the same kind of country pop style, but given her latest song didn't work out, is she really that certain a qualifier? Hasn't she also straightened her hair too, which I thought was her main USP? It could kind of make her look a bit too accessible and sexual, whereas last year she was the fun girl the whole family could love. Ellen Benediktsson suffered the same fate actually when she turned from innocent balladeer to someone who was a threat to your marriage. I do worry for her. Axel has a nice backstory. I'm not sure whether he reached the semi-final of Swedish Idol on the back of that, but it at least indicates some popularity. Torbjörn, do you know whether his backstory helped with Idol?
I would say that sure, it helped people notice him, but on top of that, he's got a really good voice, and that was what made his career through the Idol season. Absolutely.
I think if I'm looking for at least one Swedish language song to get to the final, I've kind of got my spider senses drawing me towards him, given the popularity and maybe looking back to Linus Svenning when he had his whole story brought out on stage. And then maybe Fjällgren takes his Swedish song to the final for a second time, but I think the audience may be thinking, been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. Maybe he goes to Andra Hansson this time. So I don't know. Loreen and one other. It's quite confusing, this one. I don't know. Maybe we get a surprise.
Well, Tobias, a quick question. When we've got Jon Henrik Fjällgren in the Melodifestivalen lineup, why the hell do we need Roger Pontare?
Well, that's a nice question. Well, being the representative of a minority here, which is like Swedish speakers in Finland, I don't mind if there are 2 Swedish speakers in the Finnish final one year. So why not 2 representatives of the Sami population? I think that's nice. Yeah, I'm just happy for that. I'm with Gab here. I think unless Jon Henrik Fjällgren surprises us all, I think we will have this feeling that didn't this compete already like before? It really needs to be something different for him to stand a chance. But I'm puzzled here as well. I would want Loreen to go through because I love her for doing just what Tobbe said, that she comes in with something completely different from what everyone would expect, and that will turn some people away. Some people will probably think that it's horrible, and they will wonder what happened to that nice girl that won for Sweden a couple of years ago. And I love her for that, for just go in and have this punk attitude and just do her thing. Bravo, 12 points for me. Then otherwise, I remember Axel from Swedish Idol, and that's unusual because for me, I watch Idol, I try to watch a bit every year, and then I forget them all because usually they're so unpolished and all of that. But I remember Axel. I thought he was charming. I enjoyed him. I enjoyed his presence there. He could be a potential surprise, and Alice as well. I mean, she has the number 2 slot, which isn't promising, but I liked her much more than, for instance, Victoria. I always found Victoria pretty cold, and I mean, as a performer, I found her pretty average. I didn't connect with her voice. I didn't connect with her presence. She was just special effects to me, and so I don't think she'll be, unless she has a really, really good song. I doubt very much that she will be a contender this time.
I'm on my behalf. I'm thinking that if Jon Henrik, if his song again doesn't have a proper hook, people might consider it being an opening act, and then Alice would be the first one to perform. And I am very curious to hear her song because it's written by Anders Wrethov, who has a list of hits, and I find Alice being very likable. She was in Swedish Idol the same year as Robin Bengtsson. She was the runner-up, where Robin Bengtsson was the second runner-up, and we haven't heard a lot about her since then. But I'm really curious to get to know more to get to know more about her song, because I think it can be a contender. But also, I do think that Victoria, sure, she hasn't had the follow-up hit that you would want after last year's success. But if this is in the same Taylor Swift kind of country pop vibe, I think that she can absolutely do well again. But then it comes down to, does the audience want Loreen, even though she has a different style and maybe not as direct song? Who knows?
I would think actually that they will want Loreen because she is. It would be good for the show if she went to the final. But then, Tobbe, I'd like to ask you, as being like the chairman of the Sara Varga fan club, does she still have it? I remember back in the day you scolded me for not loving Sara Varga's entry a couple of years back.
That's true. Well, I would say that nobody has got a clue about Sara Varga since she was in the last time and what she's done since. And I'm not sure whether this will be more than a parenthesis in the Melodifestivalen history. That's my feeling right now.
Okay, so thanks very much for all of those opinions there. It's certainly going to be an interesting few weeks. I'm now going to very unfairly put you all on the spot. Obviously, this is the toughest podcast to record in some way, simply because we're talking about 28 songs which none of us have heard yet. So it's fairly ridiculous. But still, because I don't like people in general, I'm going to go round and ask you who you think will win and who you would like to win. Gavin, we'll go with you.
I actually can't answer that. I'm just going to potentially put two up. Lisa Ajax, I think, will be in the mix, along with the Foo Conspiracy. So, yeah, not very exciting at all.
Okay, thanks for that. From special effects to special needs. Torbjörn, who do you think will win, and who do you want to win?
Thank you, sweetheart. I would like you to be disqualified from this podcast, and I will make sure it happens. Now, my prediction is that Mariette, Victoria, and perhaps Nano might be up there competing for victory.
Okay, so we've got plenty of names there, and Tobias, we'll finish off with you. Give us a couple of names.
Well, I would say that the Foo Conspiracy do look, from my perspective, they look like something that has been sort of, but that would be the natural choice. But then again, all the songs that I've had that feeling about, that like this is the one that the audience will go for, they haven't really worked in the end. And I mean, they are just a little boy band after all. I mean, it's one thing to have this internet following, but when you let the entire population loose to vote, and I mean, this is the third year that the voting app is in use, and I mean, by now everyone knows how to use it, or should know at least how to use it. So I don't know if it's good enough. I'd say, like, mathematically it should be the Foo Conspiracy, but I'd love for a surprise. I'd love for Robin Bengtsson to be like excellent, to just go in and sort of give them hell and blow them all away.
So that's what's going to happen. It's going to be the Foo Conspiracy are going to be your heel, and Robin is going to be Robin again and take it on jury.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Okay, well, obviously you're all waiting for my advice so that you can put your money on someone else. So obviously the two clear selections for me are that it's going to be easy 1-2 between Roger Pontara and Charlotte Perrelli. So remember, get your money on there. So we've come to the end of this first podcast of 2017, this first podcast about Melodifestivalen. All that remains for me is to thank so much our three intelligent and talented guests. Torbjörn, thank you so much.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Anytime, darling. Tobias, it's been a pleasure as always.
Kiitos, samoin.
Kiitos. And Gavin, it's been emotional.
Thank you, Andy. I'm so happy to be reunited with you.
Indeed. They'll be writing a film about it in the next few years. Okay, all that remains for me to say is goodbye from me, Andy Redfern, at ScandyAndy on Twitter, and please tune in again in a few weeks' time when we will be doing our second Melodifestivalen podcast. This time we will actually have heard the songs, so we might know a bit more. You never know. Anyway, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and goodbye from me. Goodbye.
ESCtips.com will return with another show soon. In the meantime, show us some love by following us and sharing this podcast with your Facebook and Twitter friends.